God loves you. Something kind of embarrassing happened to me yesterday. I was out running a couple of errands and I locked my phone and my keys in my car. So at first I decided that I would call my wife at work, see if I could get her, somebody to come get me so that I could get the keys from my spare set of keys from home. But when someone at that business tried to call her with my her number, they couldn't get her. For some reason, the number wasn't working. I could have called a cab or an Uber or whatever one of those applications are that lets you get somebody with a car to come get you, but I thought that cost too much money, and I'm not really that far away from the house. I'll walk it. One of the things that made me decide to walk it is my wife's been asking me for a long time to try to get more exercise. To even if just go out and walk or something. I thought, well, this is a great opportunity. I'll do that. I told the business I'd be back in an hour or two because it wasn't far. It was about, I told them I lived about 2 miles from here. Well, it turned out to be 3.5 miles. Mostly uphill. At any rate, I started walking, and it took me quite a while to get home. Now, if you're thinking 3.5 miles, that's not so bad. I run that far every day. Well, obviously I don't. I'm about 60 pounds overweight, give or take. And that'll happen to you when you've got a career that's sedentary, where you sit at a desk all day, every day. And I don't know if this is even recording. Okay, I guess it is. You can put on easily 1 pound, 2, maybe even 3 every year. And before long, 20, 30 years go by. That's a lot of weight you've put on. So obviously at my weight, I mean, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. It's going to affect my health. So I walked the 3.5 miles, had it in my head that what I'd do when I got the keys when I got home, that I'd also pick up this camera and record 2 or 3 of these stories that I wanted to tell on the walk back. But by the time I got home, I was so exhausted. Holy cow, there was no way I could have made it all the way back, much less had the ability to tell these stories. But you know, it started me on doing this walking. So that's what I'm doing now, walking while I talk to you and tell you the story. Another thing was the whole path back was along or almost all of it was along a very, very heavily traveled 5-lane road. So the sounds of the traffic were just, I'd had to be shouting to talk over the ambient noise that was going on. So for, I don't know, at least 5 or 10 years, I've been thinking that I've got these stories that I tell. I mean, I don't tell them all the time. It's just stuff that I've experienced in my life. But from time to time, it'll come up in conversation if I'm trying to make a point, a particular point. Or if it just, is similar to the conversation that we're having, it fits, allows me to contribute or whatever. But I haven't done it. So now this is kind of how I'm thinking I'll start. I'll go for a walk every day and tell you one of these stories. Yesterday was about me locking my keys in the car. Like I said, it's a little embarrassing, but it also makes me think of a saying that I've heard people speak really through my whole life that I disagree with on a basic level. And that phrase is, God has a reason for everything. As though I locked my keys in the car because God wanted me to. No. If I'm driving somewhere and I'm texting on my phone while I'm driving and have an accident, God didn't want me to have an accident. I had the accident because of my own stupidity. God gives us free will, the ability to make our own decisions. And the consequence of having to suffer the results of those decisions, those actions that we take. So, similarly, there are people out there that are criminals. I've had my house broken into before. Some of my stuff stolen. Well, God didn't want that person to be a criminal. I don't think God, with reason, chose in that person's mind my home to break into and my things to take. But he did. However, one thing I think God does have, if he doesn't have a reason for everything that happens to me, he's got a purpose for me in it. How you doing? Come on. So I'm not going to spin my wheels trying to figure out why God has bad things happen to me. I don't think there is a why, because I don't think he purposes it. I don't think he causes it. I don't think he wants that stuff to happen. But in every situation I find myself, God does have a purpose for me, something he wants me to do or accomplish, or an attitude that I should walk through it with. I know in everything he wants me to be closer to him. He wants me to love him more, rely on him more, and stop making so many decisions myself. So there you have it. Maybe when this life is over, I'll discover that God really did cause me to lock my keys in the car so that I would start walking, so that I would start telling these stories. But for the most part, I think it's pretty accurate to say God doesn't have a reason for everything that happens to me, but he does have a purpose for me in my life and in each situation that I find myself. That said, this first story is over. I'm getting close back to my car now. And I pray that God richly blesses you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.